Chapter 3, Section 3. John said he really wanted you to come. Halfway down, page 17. Not another meeting. Mark explained to Jess that he and Jim had to go into work tomorrow for a meeting. He agreed with her that it seemed silly, but since his boss insisted, what could he do? Besides, he added, I've kind of gotten used to eating on a regular basis, and having a paycheck ensures I can keep doing it. Well, I guess you got me on that one, mister. What do you think about what Mr. Olson wants? I think all those old Marines just a little more gung-ho than I like, and they need to cool their jets just a little bit. I agree. With that, Mark saluted his commander smartly and turned around and headed out the back door. He walked along the side of the shed and climbed up into the 1991 Ford F-350. He turned the key on and the wait to start light came on. Mark waited and waited and waited. When it wouldn't go off, he figured that the glow plug controller must have been burned out by the burst. He started to crank the truck, and after several minutes of cranking, it started and ran rough until the engine warmed up. He figured if it was that hard to start when it was almost 100 degrees outside, it would be next to impossible when it was cooler. He let the truck run and went back to the camper that sat in its bed. The slide-in truck camper, or cab-over camper as they were called sometimes, had served the Turner crew very well for a lot of years. He checked the water pump, the hot water heater, the propane refrigerator, and the built-in stereo. Everything seemed to work except the radio. The camper was equipped with 4 electric jacks to lift it off the truck, but when Mark tried them, they didn't work. Damn, he said to himself. That was the second time he'd cursed that day. That meant he owed his swear box $2. He couldn't remember the last time he'd had a $2 day. Mark retrieved the emergency hand crank for the camper jacks and went to work. After cranking for about 30 minutes, he had the camper off the truck. It would need to be lowered closer to the ground for them to stay in it, but that could be done later. He would have to hurry if he was going to get back to Jim's house by 4. He put the tailgate back on the truck and drove it up next to the house. Mark ran into the house, changed into a clean shirt, and headed back outside. He got his pistol out of the Jeep and put it into the truck. He climbed in the big red truck and headed back to town. When he got to Jim and Lisa's a few minutes before 4, Jim already had the pop-up pulled out of the garage and loaded. Lisa had the things she wanted to bring stacked up in the garage where the camper had been. There wasn't as much as Mark had expected. Mark backed up to the camper, and he and Jim hooked it up. Then they loaded up the back of the truck. Do you think I should bring some of my guns? Jim asked. If it makes you feel better, Mark said, thinking it was unnecessary. I'm going to bring a couple for just in case. Jim went over to the gun safe Lisa had made him put in the garage because it was too ugly to go in the house. He opened it and withdrew a .357 and a 12 gauge. He took out a holster for the revolver and some ammo and put everything except the shotgun into a small duffel bag. He put the shotgun in a soft case and then placed all of it behind the back seat of the 4-door pickup. About that time, Gunny came hobbling over. Gonna get the hell out of Dodge, huh? We're gonna have to stay with Mark until the power comes back on, Jim explained. Gonna be gone a while then. I'll keep an eye on your place. Thanks, Gunny, but we should just be gone a day or two till the power comes back on. You really believe what you hear on the radio? The old man asked. Why wouldn't we? Jim replied. Them some bitches in Washington are lying through their teeth. No way the lights are coming back on less than a month, or maybe forever, Gunny said. Well, I hope you're wrong this time, Gunny, but thanks for watching the house. If you need anything, you know where the key is. We've got to get going. Mark wants to be back home for the vice president's press conference. Mark pulled the truck and camper into the street, then he helped Jim push Lisa's car into the garage. Jim locked the house, and they all loaded up into the truck and took off with the girls waving at Gunny. When they got back to the house, Jim set up his camper and Mark lowered his with some help from David. They almost had the campers ready when it was 5 o'clock and time for the press conference. They headed up to the deck where Jess had a pitcher of lemonade. Mark turned on the radio and sank into one of the lawn chairs. Lights out.